Well, not only do they have that going on, but my last thing for you, and I'll let Eddie go after me, is this summer marks Malkin and Letang only having 1 year left on their contract. I want them, as a fan, to retire Penguins. I feel like, and I know business is business and this and that, I feel like they've earned that right, just kind of like Big Ben has earned that right. How much of an impact is going to be now that they have a new GM and Burke as the director of operations? How much impact and say do Letang and Malkin have? Like, are they going to say, hey, we want to retire Penguins? Also, like Lemieux and Crosby, like, is there any, like, do they have a say as well? Like, can Lemieux go in there and say, like, hey, listen, I want to keep Gino here because he's meant so much to us. I want to do whatever it takes. How are all those dynamics going to play out?
Really good question. I know for a fact that Mario has always made it very clear that he wants Sid and Gino both to retire Penguins someday.
And Crosby has said the same, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously Sid has a lot of power too. And not only have those three guys played together for, 15 years now, they're all really close friends for what that's worth. And they really are. Remember Crosby's the big ceremony for him, it was 1,000th game a couple months ago. He got tears in his eyes, and that happened when Malkin and Letang were speaking. Like, you could tell that impacted him a little differently. It's going to be interesting. My question is, would Malkin and Letang be willing to take a pay cut?
They're going to have to.
I think they have to, and not a huge one. But Malkin.
But Malkin's not a $9.5 million player anymore. He's just not.
I agree, and he certainly won't be 2 or 3 years from now. Yeah. That doesn't mean he's still not a fine number 2 center 2 or 3 years.
He is. Yeah.
If he wants to play for $6 or $7 million a year, and if Letang would be willing to take maybe a little bit less money, sure, you give him maybe a couple of years. They're not going to get 4 or 5 year contract at their ages, I don't think, and they have to understand that. But I will say this: I don't think they're going to get traded. A lot of people ask me this summer, could they go? They only have 1 year left on their contract after this season. I don't think their value would really be worth trading them. I just don't see it. So I think they're here for the next year and a half. Whether or not they're extended beyond that or not, we will see.
Do you think if you had to bet right now, would you say that at least one of them will for sure get a contract extension?
Yes, I would bet that both of them probably will. And
okay.
I think Malkin's more likely than Letang, primarily because they already have Marino locked in on the right side. I know he's had a disappointing year, but he's a top 4 defenseman right-handed, right? They obviously have no one to replace Crosby or Malkin in the organization.
Right.
Close. I'd say Malkin's more likely than Letang, but at this very moment, I bet you they both get 2 year extensions or something along those lines. I could see that happening, especially with how well they've both played in the last month. Letang has been awesome the last month, and Malkin was playing really well before he got hurt as well.
When do you think Malkin ends up in Russia?
You know what? I'm not sure that he ever is going to play in Russia. I know everyone always assumes that. I think Ovi will. I think if Ovi could break Gretzky's record, then go play for a year in Russia, that's his plan. Gino likes it here. I mean, yeah. Gino likes when he's got free time. He's not in Moscow. He's in Miami. That's what he likes to do. So I don't know that he might go back, but I think Crosby, Malkin, and Letang in their perfect world would all play here until they're 40. I mean, I really believe that. So if they could be together,
I hope so.
I think that's their plan.
And then maybe they can make all the fans happy and bring Fleury back in 2 years as well. And they can just have this reunion season where they may be terrible, but you're yeah, but you can watch all these guys that used to be good play one last season together.
I'm only for it if Ryan Malone and Colby Armstrong come out of retirement.
Ryan Whitney too. I mean, I think he's got money now, but why not?
Hey, he's you watch those Spit and Chiclet videos. He's actually not a bad golfer. Whitney. He's a scratch golfer. Man.
My favorite Ryan Whitney moment was nothing other than him. I couldn't believe that he had this in him, but he beat the living hell out of somebody in the Ottawa series in 2007, and I was like, wait a minute, is that? I mean, he was throwing bombs, and I can't remember who he beat up, but I was like, I never expected that. That was my favorite Ryan Whitney moment.
All he did was score backdoor goals, but my God, he did it well.
Yeah. Josh, I got one more question for you. I'm going to move off